Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some Evo. So my little summons are my little, when I want to make some allies, I have something stronger than Ice Beast. So I do have a couple evocables. And I have another one I can buy, so... Yeah, I've had this vault many times. Definitely not a first for me. It's honestly like, I tend to enjoy this one. Even though it's like mandatory, it just somehow the way it plays ends up being kind of... It's compartmentalized enough that it's not like too horrible to actually play through. The center of it is quite nasty. Quite nasty indeed. I have gotten that from Twitch. Yeah, just refresh it. Like the player will like crash, or maybe their network thing, the stream interrupts, and I've had that happen a couple times recently. Not too much. Maybe they rolled out an update that's slightly buggy. I don't know. But yeah, I've always just refreshed whenever I've seen it, and it seemed to work okay. Jeez, that was won't claim that that was ideal because it wasn't. Not optimal, as they say. Ooh, nice cigarette. Nice cig. Seems I've hit a dead end. Grunt, you got me. Yeah, so that center area we're gonna have to be... This is where it'll get you, because this door right here will get opened. So I want to clear this out first. Oops, I don't know. That wasn't exactly what I meant to... Go ahead. Come closer, Caustic Strike. Yeah, that's what's in here. It looks like they've already... Honestly, I didn't look at this carefully, so I screwed myself. Now look at where I am, and look how this feeds. I didn't actually look at this map. You notice how the central door only has one exit, and look at the path that there is. So I'm basically fighting the center right now, which is not what I wanted. You have any RC? We do. Back to full at least. Oh, but this is a dead end. That's not going to work out. Oh boy. Some spoopy stuff. How shall I do this? This is a good example of how this spell is a lot less useful because, I mean, I can still use it, but how much? Oh yeah, and I can't drink any magic, so I'm gonna have to teleport if this doesn't go. I mean, not yes and no. The problem is the shrikes are a major concern. I don't really want to waste any of my summoning consumables for this. Summon Scroll wouldn't be the worst, but I don't really want to waste those either if I can help. I'd rather save those more for Zot. I'll go ahead and burn one. There we go. Ah, okay, so I can't refridge around those guys. That was not the most, like, amazing. Now I'm invis, that's nice. We got some stuff going on here. Okay, Shrike's dealt with. Got a little bit of blocking action going on, but we don't have much MP left. Dealt with a lot of it. Yeah, unless the Caustic Shrikes resist Cold Tumalu, which I have terrible news for you. I also had allies out, so I had to wait. I couldn't do it right away, but yeah, the comboing the spells will work. Apparently we have an invisible monster. Yeah, they do not resist acid. You did see me bolt of acid one of them. Oh, that's the Vampire Knight, I see. Okay, he's down. This guy's stuck in vapor. Nice. Oh. Yeah. Well, all it took was one fire giant to ruin that little endeavor. Here, you. Oh my god. What's up, Yogi? Yep. This is a new roguelike you should try at some point. Yeah, it is fun comboing this with other spells, and it's not like you can see I'm still getting myself into shenanigans with the right situation. It's not like it just instantly solved that lich, but it didn't make that fight just into something that was like non-existent. Fucking guard Grandpa Jail. Is it the turtle, Yogi? Or no, you said Dark Grandpa Jail, so I actually don't recall the details of that run or what the hang-ups are.
Level 2 contains the research laboratory. 3 houses the Department of Maintenance, and the storage cells are on level 4. The flight deck is on level 5. Level 6 holds crew facilities and executive suites. And
well, we might have cleared out most of the vaults.
Level 8 houses the Department of Security. The bridge is located on level 9, and energy systems on level R. All levels can be accessed by the elevator. Welcome to the throne of God, mortal.
Not really having any hunger issues. Good turtle, 2-frame window to hit eye drops, play the whole run perfectly, yeah. It's all that is that, I know turtle is fairly early, but I don't know, oof. But I don't know how early eye drops or the other things are. Because I know it's like a 40-minute speed run in total, isn't it? $40 isn't too bad by RPG speedrun standards. Most difficult. Well, that's good at least. Rather than like, 40 minutes in. Dodging skill 22. And we wanted to get D-missiles, so we're probably going to need some charms for this, I'm afraid. Because I don't feel like... Get all this stuff. Fight him. Oh no, you troll. Went invis. It's okay. You trolled my trolls. Go. Alright, I think Grunt's runaround is cleared for the most part. We're not clearing Minmay's horror vault, that's for sure. Wow, what a vault. So overall, Absolute Zero is feeling like it's certainly very, very powerful. It doesn't make you invincible. It definitely makes you invincible in many fights, but not in the nastiest ones. Because those are the ones that involve multiple monsters. Oh, this is gonna not... I don't even know if I really want to do Crypt. Because this is going to be kind of a pain. Like, maybe it'd be better just to do Elf 3 if I wanted a little bit more XP. I think, I'm not usually a big advocate of doing L3. I'm just going to sort of do it, mostly because this is a test run. It does make them stop existing immediately, provided, of course, that one is in the right range for you to cast it. Yeah, Crypt has a lot of cold resist, so it's going to be Absolute Zero, and my spells are not going to be nearly so effective. Why don't we go ahead and just get this to 14 min delay. I mean, that is an answer for Crypt, is just doing a lot of melee, but Elf 3 will probably be faster. Well, speaking of Elf 3 Vault, there it is. Ozo's Refridge, some Freezing Cloud, Tactical Absolute Zero. I see something that I don't want to let get any closer. I mean, you definitely, it's not just like where 3 show up and all of a sudden you're dead or anything. It's not like that, but it is definitely the case where you need a good number of monsters. Like when it starts to get, I mean, it really just depends on the position, honestly, and it depends on the monster. It's hard to really just generalize it like that, but once you start getting like 5+ monsters, then you start... Like, you can obviously cast it, you know, like I can cast the spell 5 times in a row, and I have magic pots, but I have a limited number of those things. This is Elf 3. Although we do have to go get the rune, so maybe I'll do Vaults 5 after this. Calling Corpse is a good play. Throw up all those things that block my line of fire for absolute, or block. It's not really a line of fire. Actually, doesn't care about line of fire at all. Get a shout. Moyamium. Famous amulet of regen. Irritation. I don't know why I could not read that word all of a sudden. Hey, don't freezing cloud me. That's what I do. It's like Irration? What? Got a fancy amulet. And I'm not having to fight these all at once, so that's helping a lot. Anything that's got like really nasty ranged or bandit, like basically demonologists, sorcerers, high priests, those I would also Deep Elf Master Archer, probably Blade Master. Really all the high, yeah. Deep Elf Death Mage I can fight out because it's like whatever. These guys I can fight out. Oh. Almost didn't see you, buddy. Then he's like, hey, check me out. Spam arrows in your face. Okay. Gotta turn off these rings of cold. Rings of flight. I think I'm gonna do ring of int. Not gonna do a ring of protection. With a ring of robustness sitting in a Bailey. Use absolute 0 on that one because I wasn't sure. Oof. That's where summons will get you. Thankfully he didn't spam a bunch. Tongue of Order, wow. Bardisho, Chabridos' Fable. Favor, I can't talk today. Whoa. This dude, this guy's got the +10 Zealot Sword and the +5 skill. All the unrans. Impressive. Deep Elf High Priest with the Zealot Sword. It's very flavorful. They gain poisoning magic spells. Well, we have a level 6 one. We've always been resistant about making level 9s for every school because that's sort of a thing that it's like doing it just to do it. Oh, there's the second Master Archer. Probably clears out most of the stuff in this vault. Right, wrong channel. Yeah, definitely wrong channel. You are correct. It's a good spell. Yeah, I haven't had a run. Wow, the Elemental Staff too. All the unrans on this Elf 3. Finally, we get Animate Skeleton. Anything I can drop here? I guess for now I am not. Want Staff of Wizardry. Want Staff of Summoning. We'll take a Phantom Mirror. Arga! Holy crap, dude! That's insane! And I'm not using any of them is the kind of crappy part. That's nuts. Take stock. What's the final count here? We got the Tongue of Order, the Elemental Staff, Arga, Zealot Sword. I mean, it's not that many, but some pretty epic unrans. Passing up Arga makes you sad. A new level 6 spell really situational. I mean, probably. It's a spell that that's going to do pretty good damage. It takes a while to set up and use. I would say that much about it. You know, you just kind of fall back and get a bunch of damage out of it. A lot of the spells, like you see Freezing Cloud, also as usable as Freezing Cloud is, which is arguably more so than the Bog spell. It does take a little bit of setup to set up Freezing Cloud, so it's sort of nice when you can start spamming Refridge and not worrying about that as much, except in some situations where you just want to add even more damage, perhaps. And yeah, you don't really have that for poison magic. It's sort of always been a school that's like never been about just giving you, you know, the huge sort of nukes that you associate with the other spell schools. Like you have Toxic Radiance from an early point, but that's still damage over time. It's a very effective and strong spell, but it will take turns to get the damage that you want out of it. Pretty useful spell in a lot of situations. Like that fight where I had the Caustic Strikes. Now the issue, of course, is you need like more. You do need a bit more of a corridor to set it up, but you can kind of zigzag around actually to create a double wide path so that you could just use. You wouldn't need as much of a corner to set it up. That's what I had imagined myself doing, is kind of like drawing out a little path to set those up so I can hit enough monsters with it. Yeah, I think its enhancers do stack. I think that was a recent change even. Well, it would depend on what other spells you had out, Kapop. I mean, if you're talking VM who goes into other conjurations, absolutely. Noxious Bog is what? I forget what the schools are for that spell. Like, is it Hex? That's a spell that E-Bearing made, so I'm a bit less familiar with it. I could definitely see you having other spells that would be more effective, like, you know, but that's also true of what happens is eventually you gain the ability to cast a lot of different spells, particularly you start throwing summons into the mix, and it's like, okay, well, I could just use those. Poison Transmute. Yeah, so if you're not doing conjurations and the schools that you're training are one of those two, I mean, I'm not sure what other spells you're going to use that are going to be a lot more effective. If you're using Ash now, that's going to let you train a few levels in some other schools and then get the bonus, so it's kind of a special case there a little bit, I would say. I mean, you would use it as a supplement. You wouldn't necessarily use it by itself. It's definitely not a spell that you're going to necessarily use like 90% of fights or whatever. Like, how often am I using Freezing Cloud now, for instance? You would call that a somewhat niche spell now because I can do Ozos or I can do Absolute Zero, and I'm only throwing it in later. But you saw me using it a ton earlier. If I didn't have Ozos or Fridge, I'd definitely be still using that spell quite a bit. So my concern is not that like it becomes the spell that you use all the time, but that it has times where it's very, very useful. And that there's a reasonable set of characters that might cast it. Now, if you're somebody who's starting as a VM and you're training a bunch of poison, came out transmuters. Well, transmuters, yeah, you could cast it maybe on some if they had really good int. They wouldn't really want to branch into poison too much. But then again, it's not a spell that... I think it does use spell power for its damage. I wonder how that spell would play for transmuters. That's a possibility. But just think, say, a Venom Mage. What's their kind of trajectory going to be? They'll probably branch into some conjurations at some point, typically. And in which case they have... I mean, if they go for heavy conj, they're going to be ditching poison altogether. In a lot of cases, they're not going to be using too much poison. If they just go, yeah, it really sort of depends on how you build out your character, I guess. Ash is sort of weird because it makes, you know, it lets you sort of train anything you want eventually. I'd be curious. The next time I play VM, I will go for it, but I'm not going to be worshipping Ash, so it'll be maybe a better test for it, and I'll get to see. Maybe that'll be the next character that I ascend.